We'll go back to Brandon.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Brandon.
Thanks for calling back.
Hey.
We were just getting ready to get to you, so what do you got?
Hey, what's going on, people?
Not much.
Same thing as last week, only now I'm not alone.
So what's up, Brandon?
All right, here's the deal. Yes, I am a believer. Let me say that.
A believer in what?
I'm a believer in Christianity.
Okay. By the way, there's a 4-second delay.
Yeah, and it's like messing me up.
Turn the volume on your television down and just concentrate on the phone.
Okay.
That'll make it a lot easier.
Now. All right, sorry.
That's all right.
All right. I've been kind of listening to what you guys have been talking about, and I've called maybe from time to time, and I spoke with you, Matt, a lot of times, and I remember you guys used to have a little sign on the desk that said "Faith is gullibility."
Yep.
And I think you said you wanted someone to call and just clarify why you believe what you believe.
Yep.
That's the question. We all want to know, why do we believe what we believe or don't believe what we don't believe? And for me, I trusted Christ as my Savior for the simple fact that, one, when I look at everything, when I look at the earth, when I look at, and this is nothing new, Matt. This is nothing new that you haven't heard before.
Okay.
But when I look at the earth, when I look at everything that's been made, if something's been made, obviously it has a maker. That's common sense.
Yeah, but how do you know it's been made?
How do I know it's been made? Because I see it. And when I look at it, I say, okay, wow, this is creation. We all use the term creation when we're speaking of earth.
No, we don't. See, I specifically don't use the term creation because I don't see that it's actually been created. Right. I mean, how do you distinguish? Is there anything in your view that wasn't created?
Is there the only thing that, in my view, that wasn't created was God himself. Okay,
so you look at everything and you see it as having been made and crafted by an intelligence.
Right.
Why? What is it about what you see that makes you think that an intelligent creator is the best explanation for its existence?
Okay, well, speaking for me, I can only speak for me.
Sure.
When I look at the preciseness of the world that we live in, when I look at just when I take a breath, there's always one for me to take another. You know what I'm saying? When I look at the small things, when I look at all the different various types of life that are on the earth, when I look at the creativity of God on display, when I look at monkeys, when I look at baboons, when I look at dogs, when I look at, all the various life forms on earth that have their own beauty and uniqueness to themselves, when I look at this, I say, wow.
I do too. Only I don't say, wow, look. I don't say, wow, look at something that a God created. I say, wow, there's incredible diversity of life. What's the best explanation for this? I don't make an assumption about what the nature of the explanation is.
Right.
And we have good explanations for the diversity of life that don't require any sort of transcendent creative intelligence.
I mean, to me, when I look at the earth, it's a lot like me or you maybe going outside and looking at your automobile that you get in. You didn't see the people who created the automobile.
You're right.
But you do see the evidence that there was. When you look at your car.
But you know why?
Why?
Because we have no evidence at all of automobiles occurring naturally. Every piece of evidence we have about the existence of automobiles is that they are created. They are designed by an intelligence. We have direct evidence of this. We can go to the manufacturer if we want. We can look at the plans for the car. We can trace back the history of both automobile design, internal combustion engine design, all of this. But the key reason isn't that it's complex or isn't that it speaks to design on its own. The key reason is that we have an abundance of evidence that demonstrates that cars are designed and no evidence to say that cars occur naturally. We're drawing a distinction between things that occur naturally and things that are designed. You draw no such distinction. When I look at human beings and trees and animals and other things, those are things that occur naturally. They occur by biological processes. They occur through the laws of physics and everything from the formation of stars on outward. You look at everything and see all of it is created. So you can't even draw a distinction between the car and the tree. To you, they're pretty much the same thing, and that's kind of what you said.
Well, I just kind of believe that what we do as man is just hints of what God does in creation.
I understand you believe that. I'm still not sold on why.
Right. And I mean, once again, I'm only speaking for me.
Sure. I got no problem with that at all. My interest isn't in saying, oh, damn it, Brandon, you're wrong. How can you be so stupid and say those? That's not what I'm interested in at all. I understand that you believe it. Right. I used to believe similar things, and I'm not even quite completely convinced of what all my reasons were. I realize you're only speaking for yourself. I'm just curious as to, okay, let me ask a slightly different question. Okay. Not why do you believe, but do you think that the basis upon which you do believe, the evidence or the presuppositions that you have, do you think that that's valid for other people? Like, should I also believe this for the same reasons you do, or do you have some special reason?
Well, I think it's a combination of the things, because once again, when I look at the evidence of everything that has been made, okay, that piques my curiosity. Okay, wow, something, this is just me. Something greater than me exists, and speaking from the Bible and all the other holy books that are out there. I heard the young lady to the side of you. She was speaking
Tracy.
on the Quran. What's her name?
Tracy.
Tracy, I'm sorry.
No,
Tracy.
no, don't be sorry.
No, she'll talk to you too.
Okay. Well, just looking at the Quran, and when you measure the Quran up against the Bible, look at the Bible.
Okay.
Let's take the Bible. The Bible, it was written over 1,500 years. 40 different writers. That book you have in your hand was written by 40 different people who did not know each other. They came from all different walks of life.
And they didn't know that their books were going to be put together.
And didn't know that their books were going to be compiled together into one volume.
Maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
No, they didn't. They don't hint at it.
Well, if you make the presupposition that the Holy Spirit was guiding, then somebody knew.
Right. Let's look at this. Okay, now the thing is, when you have all these people that have come together to create one book, and the continuity that flows from Genesis to Revelation, back to Genesis, back to Revelation, that's unexplainable.
Actually, it's really easy to explain. It doesn't exist. There is no continuity that flows from Genesis to Revelation and back. The God of the Old Testament is very, very, very different character from the God of the New Testament.
That's not true, man.
How is it not true?
That's not true because, with the Old Covenant, I like to use the word covenant instead of testament, because
now you're talking about two different things. The Old Testament is a series of books, and the Old Covenant is a particular portion of the older series of books.
Well, when I say Old Covenant, this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that the Old Testament, the people operated in the Old Covenant of doing things as, far as bulls, goats, sacrifices, and things of that nature for their sins. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which brings up a whole nother subject. I look at myself, and I look at the dirty and vile things that I've done over the course of my life that the Bible pinpoints and says, look, is this not you? You know what I'm saying?
What's that have to do with my point that the gods in the two different testaments are completely different characters?
Okay.
One of them is vengeful.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
One of them is vengeful and jealous, who orders wars of extermination, who says that you're supposed to stone unruly children, who sends people out to rip pregnant women open and kill the babies inside, specifically so that people who aren't Jews don't get to survive. And the other one comes along and says, you know what, we're going to do away with most of those old rules. You don't have to sacrifice anymore. Let's turn the other cheek. Let's be nice to each other and love God. And you don't have to worry about all those other commandments again.
Well, he didn't exactly say let's do away with them. Jesus came and became that once and for all sacrifice.
Now, that's a particular interpretation, but it doesn't at all reflect the comment that there are two different characters. Well, they're not consistent.
I mean,
and the authors in the books, even in the New Testament, they're not consistent. Paul has a very different view of Christianity than the authors of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. And the Synoptic Gospels don't even agree on the necessary details in there. So to say that there's some inexplicable continuity is just absurd, especially when you consider the other things, like we have none of the original copies, none of the autographs. We have known forgeries that exist that are in the Bible that you have right now, which we know are not in the oldest and best manuscripts.
Okay.
You have scribes making changes in order to promote doctrine, and the church actively suppressing any books in the 1st and 2nd centuries that disagreed with the doctrine they were promoting. Let's get rid of Maccabeisms, the Maccabees, all of these other forms of Christianity that existed early on are suppressed, and there's no text, almost no text, most of it was completely lost. We only have things like the Nag Hammadi Library discovery of a lot of Gnostic texts to even tell us that these things happened. And then they destroy the library at Alexandria. This is not the process by which a consistent, intelligent collection of writings is handed down. There's no consistency there. The consistent elements is that they talk about a God. If these things were consistent, then Jews would be Christians. But Jews take that, what you would call the Old Covenant, and I would call the Old Testament, and they'd just call it the Bible or the Tanakh, and they find a whole bunch of prophecies in there that tell them about their Messiah. And yet Christians say that Jesus fulfilled all those prophecies, and the Jews don't. And they pick different prophecies.
Well, a lot of the reasons that Jews have a problem believing in Jesus is because they feel like they don't have to believe in Jesus because they're Jews. It's not so much that they don't accept Jesus.
No.
Wait. Let me.
No. They don't accept that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah.
Right.
It has nothing.
And that's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying that a lot of Jews are like, okay, well, we don't really have to believe in Jesus like the rest of the Gentiles do, because Jesus was one of us. So we automatically.
No,
you
have a fundamental misperception of Judaism. That is completely and totally flawed. They don't think they're off the hook.
Judaism laid down the principles for Christianity.
No, they think they're still waiting for a Messiah. They think Jesus was a false Messiah, just like 1,000 others that came around this time period. They didn't just say, oh, we're special, we don't have to buy into this Jesus guy. They don't think he's the Messiah.
And that doesn't take away from the truth of who he is. It's just like I can
you're
say,
right.
I don't
Their
believe,
opinion.
I mean, I can. Well, let me say this. It's just like I can say, I don't believe that Matt is 39. He's bald and he's white. You still are, whether I believe or not.
Absolutely. And you know what? You know what the difference is? I can demonstrate that I'm 39, bald and white.
Right.
And you can't even demonstrate a single moment from history of Jesus' existence. Can't even demonstrate that the guy ever lived. There's not a. And by the way, the documents there in the Gospels are inconsistent with reliable historical text.
Okay.
In the Gospels, there was Jesus born during the reign of Herod.
Okay. Now I wasn't trying to be offensive.
Was he?
Please don't take. I wasn't trying.
I'm not being offensive.
No, I'm saying I wasn't. I don't want you to.
I'm not taking offense.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that you make this broad claim about believing the Bible, and so many other people do when they can't necessarily quantify what it is that convinces them the most.
Right.
They make an appeal to the Bible, and then they make these broad claims that it's a miracle that these 40 some odd writers managed to put together this cohesive, consistent worldview. And it's not. It's not cohesive.
Miracle,
it's not.
It's not even consistent.
It's not cohesive. It's not consistent.
Consistent.
There are thousands of contradictions, and if you want to go by Mark Twain, upwards of 1,000 lies. There are known forgeries, and there are different views of. Let's just throw the Old Testament out. There are different views of Christianity between the Gospels and between Paul.
Now, there's some people that, like, you know, Mark Twain. He holds no water with me because
I understand.
You know, it's like if I was getting to know you, Matt.
Why does this book hold water with you then?
It holds water with me because, okay.
Do you know a single person?
Old Testament, Jesus fulfilled every single prophecy of himself.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Only somebody who's never Only somebody who's never actually researched that question could make that claim. You are buying into the propaganda, the same propaganda that I bought into. Jesus did it all. He fulfilled everything. No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Okay, you lose. Saying yes, he did is not a response. You need to come up and make demonstrations, because if you go out and you do a search, I'd suggest going to infidels.org and other places. There's not only a list of contradictions. Actually, you can go to judaism101.com, and there's a discussion there on whether or not he fulfilled messianic prophecy. The reason that you think he did is because Christians have gone through and handpicked verses that they think you fulfilled. And then you've got gospel authors like Matthew, who are specifically writing their gospel to make it look like he fulfilled prophecies that he didn't, and yet you can offer no evidence that he ever even existed. You know none of the authors of the Gospels. It's not Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are names that the church put on there. We don't know who wrote any of them. We know that it wasn't any of those guys. We know that it wasn't any of the disciples. We know that it was written decades afterwards. We know that they were changed and modified. There's no good reason. If I presented to you a book now that purported to tell you about the life, it's not, I don't think it's Judaism.com. I think it's Judaism 101, but I'm not sure. If I gave you a book right now that purported to tell you all the wonderful details about Thomas Jefferson, actually that's probably too far back. We don't have to go that back. Hitler, we're 60 years out, 65, 70 years out from Hitler. And now this is modern times where we have a good record of what's gone on. And I gave you a book, and 1,000 years from now, somebody found that book. Well, we don't have to go forward that far. Let's say 100 years from now, somebody finds that book. They have no idea who the author is, why they should consider that author reliable, but they're going to adopt this as the truth about Hitler. And then we're going to start making copies of this book. And now the anachronism really fails, because we have to go back to when almost nobody could read and almost nobody could write, and we're going to pay people to try and transcribe this while we're promoting specific doctrines and while we are trying to hide other specific doctrines. So now you get to a point where 2,000 years after the fact, or less than that, 1,800 years after the fact, I've got a book. I have no idea who wrote it. I have no idea how reliable they are. I do know that they weren't an eyewitness testimony to anything. At best, they're reporting second or third hand hearsay. And I have no external documents to support the historicity of this. None. I'm not saying Jesus didn't exist. I can't prove that, but you certainly can't prove that he did. You certainly can't prove that these books are accurate. The truth of the matter is, you believe it. You've accepted it for whatever reason, whether it's because somebody you trusted has told you that Jesus fulfilled every prophecy, which is insane. People can't even agree on what is or isn't prophecy. And going through and picking out a verse and reinterpreting it and making it look like Jesus. Ooh, he was born in Bethlehem. Okay, where's Bethlehem? What about Nazareth? There's question as to whether or not Nazareth actually existed or not. You can't make broad claims. I mean, the broader your claims are, the dumber it sounds. And I don't mean that just insulting. I mean, when you say, oh, Jesus was everything and he fulfilled all the prophecy. Okay, great. Make a list of all the prophecies and show how he fulfilled them. And then hand that around to a whole bunch of people from a whole bunch of different denominations of Christianity and have them add and subtract from that list. And then give it to the Jews, who, by the way, he's supposed to be the Jewish Messiah, and have them look over the list and then get back to me. Whatever you got left, then we can talk about it. I think what you'll find is that if you allow people to add and subtract from that list, you'll come back with nothing. You just can't make broad claims like that.
But it's easy for people to believe that.
Hey,
that's the thing. That's why people like Josh McDowell make so much money, because you
choir.
tell people the Bible is reliable.
Yeah.
And you make all these claims about the scribes, transcribing these meticulously, and then it's, to the Christian mindset. And I don't mean all Christians, but I know for me, that was, significant.
That was huge.
And so I was just like, yeah, the Bible is so reliable, and they copied it so reliably.
Yeah.
And then
why would those people lie?
Yeah. And then you
lie.
come across a marginal note in your Bible from the translators themselves saying the oldest and best manuscripts do not contain these verses.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it going, Josh?
Mark 16, 9 through 20
Josh,
doesn't exist.
What is this? You told me this was reliable, and here the translators are telling me it's not. So who do I believe? Josh McDowell, the apologist who's making his living, telling me
who has no particular
to accept
expertise
this?
in this area.
Or the people who translated my Bible.
Yeah. And I was exactly the same way. I bought into Josh's stuff until I actually researched it, until I found people who had gone to debunk this, people like Richard Carrier and others who had written rebuttals to evidence that demands a verdict and things like that, and actually talked about how we go about determining what is and isn't history, and what is and is not historically reliable.